On Thursday, Luke Jones will be in Owings Mills for all things purple. And, of course, out on our Twitter and our social media, our Snapchat, our Instagram, all those places will be vibing purple on Thursday. But meanwhile, the torrid can't lose. First place Baltimore Orioles entertaining the Colorado Rockies. Honest to God, I did the tour last year, and my night in Colorado was by far the least eventful of all the nights. It kind of rained half the night. The Rockies were turds. I bought a $5 ticket for $3 at the sports bar across the street and had a burger and a beer. And there was a smell of this aroma in the air on the concourses that night that was unique to Denver, if not Seattle. Colorado Rockies come in. Patrick Saunders covers all things Rockies for the Denver Post. You can follow his journey at PSaundersDP out on Twitter. And I don't know much about the Rockies, Patrick. I mean, I'm calling on you guys. We talk Red Sox and Rays and Yankees and all that good stuff, and we're in line with that. But these interleague matchups are really weird when you don't know much about the other team, right?
Yeah, exactly. It's weird for us. Sometimes it's weird for the teams themselves. I mean, sure, they have video and they have scouting, but particularly when it comes to pitching matchups, you'll see all sorts of weird numbers when it comes to NL West versus AL East like it is this year. It's kind of an adventure. Every game, you're never quite sure what you're going to get.
All right,
it's,
so
interleague, that's for sure.
For the Rockies, I mean, I would say in our part of the world, they're one of the more anonymous teams, right up there with. I mean, the Padres came in a couple weeks ago. I'm a bit of a closet Padres fan, and we seem to be wanting to trade with them every year. But Arizona, Colorado, some of these teams feel very, very distant and far away. But there is one hell of a nucleus of young talent there, and this isn't such a bad year in terms of where Colorado wants to be. Still, some hopes to be a 500 team. And calling up prospects now and sort of getting ready for next year, kind of, sort of, right?
Yeah, I think they're a little bit ahead of the curve. I mean, I've picked them to win 72 this year. They're a little bit ahead of that as we head in toward August. You're right. They have some really good young talent. And if people on the East Coast aren't aware of Nolan Arenado, the third baseman, they should be, because in my book, he's one of the top 5 players in baseball.
He's a Machado in that conversation kind of guy, but we don't hear that conversation. We hear the Trout, Harper conversation is what we hear here,
Exactly. And I think if when the Rockies take on the Orioles at Camden, you'll get to see Arenado, and you'll get to see a really good 25-year-old talent. And the other kid who's just making incredible numbers early on is the rookie shortstop, Trevor Story, who's just murdering the ball lately. You're exactly right. The Rockies, they are anonymous to most of the world for good reason. They've been losing 90-plus games for a long time, but they do have some good young talent, and my projection is come next year and 2018, they're going to be a viable contender in the NL West.
Well, I mean, there are some familiar faces here. I mean, Mark Reynolds, certainly no stranger to Orioles fans, and Gerardo Parra, even though Mr. Davies is towing the rubber in Milwaukee right now from the trading deadline. A couple of former Orioles banging around there, but, the story we always hear there is they can't get pitching, right? I mean, we've got Ubaldo here, and might be some familiarity from the other side. He might be gone by the time the series is over. It really there aren't a whole lot of cast of characters here that we're familiar with, but the pitching has really been the part where you're trying to get to know the pitchers most years, right? Because they really do sort of come and go there, right?
Yeah, they do. It's been, in the entire history of the franchise, the problem. And it's the problem with altitude. It's the problem of trying to figure out guys who will come in here, pitch at Coors Field, find a way to live and win at 5,280 feet. It's a real struggle, and I think it's unlike anything else in baseball. But the young core they have right now, starting with John Gray, the 3rd overall pick out of Oklahoma in 2013, they do have a young core that is finally starting to show some promise. And finally, the Rockies are not dead last in every pitching category as they typically are.
How is that ever really going to change, right? I mean, I go back 20 years ago. Camden Yards is a bit of a bandbox, right? And you're going to have some 95, 98-degree nights here this week. Ball's going to fly out much like it does at Coors Field, where these 350-foot pop-ups become home runs. And I don't know how that changes. I mean, I sit here on the Orioles side, and look, they have the worst owner in the hemisphere, right? I mean, the Orioles do. Historically, over 25 years, that's the way it's been. But the one thing they've never been able to do is sign a pitcher. Whether once Messina left, they've never, ever had a legitimate frontline guy. The way the Rockies got Nagel, the way they got Hampton, and I know we're going back a generation now, and Nagel's a local guy, still lives here in the area, and we see him from time to time. Great dude, great friend, but couldn't get guys out there. Nobody could. It really is kind of a cautionary tale that agents wouldn't steer pitchers there. And again, I think Baltimore's very much in that category where they weren't going to sign David Price even if they offered the most amount of money because they just wouldn't pitch in Camden Yards in the same way they wouldn't pitch in Coors Field, right?
Yeah, exactly right. And, there's another couple other things going against the Rockies, which is why you don't see them even get in the conversation when it comes to free agents. They don't even really try to make big trades anymore. What they try to do is get guys and homegrown. But Camden, you said, is a bandbox. Coors, everybody thinks it's all about home runs. It's actually not the most home run friendly ballpark in baseball. It's up there, but it's not the number one. The problem with Coors is a couple of them. One, it's a big, big park, a lot of space, a lot of acres in the alleys. So singles become doubles, doubles become triples. That really hurts. Bloopers become singles over the infield, and those are the things that just drive pitchers crazy. That and playing in altitude, the wear and tear on the body. You ask any veteran who's ever played a long time in Colorado, and they will tell you playing at altitude for the long term really affects the body. So those are the reasons why the Rockies are never, in my estimation, going to sign a big-name free agent pitcher. They're just not going to come here.
Yeah, kind of a weird place for them, too, where the Broncos sort of own the place, right? I guess all the teams, the Nuggets, the Avalanche had their day there for a period of time. And I don't think the Rockies are a poor franchise in that way. And certainly there's, it's a growing city. It's a wonderful part of the world to live and be. I know you get some snow-capped nights in April, but on a summer night, to sit up in Coors Field, look out at those mountains, it's a beautiful thing. Now, how to improve the baseball team, the recipe would be the Arenados, right? The recipes would be the stories, and now the latest call-up is this young man you've been tweeting about the last couple of days, and David Dahl, right?
Exactly, and that's one of the things that makes the Rockies an exciting team. And anytime they've had success, they've fielded one of the best lineups in baseball. The interesting thing about the Rockies, and I've covered both the Rockies and the Broncos, and I've lived here all my life, and you're absolutely right, the Broncos own this state, this city, this region. But you also have to remember the Rockies draw about 32,000 fans per game at Coors. I think it's 8th or 9th in all of baseball. The fans flock here. It's a regional team. But the problem is, and the naysayers here will say, the Rockies will never put out the money or the effort to make a championship quality team because they don't have to, because the people come for the experience of a summer night at Coors Field. That's the cynics say that.
I would go to Red Rocks myself. I'm just saying. That's what I would do. But that is just me,
Well, yeah, do it both. Do it both. You're exactly right. A summer night in Colorado is about as good as it gets. And if the Rockies would put a winning product on the field, they go back to selling out almost every night. Back in 07 and 09 when they were a playoff team, the crowds here were big and they were raucous. Now they basically come to drink beer and, look at the girls and pay attention every third inning, I guess.
Well, that's a hell of a thing, too. Much like here in Baltimore, all the years when the team stunk, the owner stunk, and he's been pocketing money like crazy, didn't really invest back, and didn't really care whether they were winning or losing because he's making $100 million a year off the television network. The kind of competition that you have in the West is similar to me to what the Orioles have with the Red Sox and the Yankees, where you would just say, well, we're never going to beat them, so we might as well just make money here and grow the arms and buy the bats and all that stuff. You have a very similar circumstance out there where certainly the Dodgers are always going to have the money, and the Giants are just going through this period of prosperity and signing the right players and using their money and the largesse that they've grown out in the Bay Area to their advantage. They really do feel a cut above these other three teams all the time, and I say that as some sort of a reformed Padres fan,
Oh, you're exactly right. And this year, The word was with the D-backs with getting Greinke and Shelby Miller and everything.
Yeah, they tried
They were
hard,
gonna,
right? I mean, San Diego
well, they
tried
did.
hard
They were,
last year, you know?
yeah, they were in the mix, but it didn't pan out. Certainly for the D-backs, they're, in my estimation, the biggest disappointment in the entire season of anybody. I mean, it's a disaster down there in Phoenix. But you're exactly right. The NL West belongs to either the Dodgers or the Giants, and the rest of the division is essentially, hoping to win a few games off them here and there and maybe sneak in as a wild card. I mean, the Rockies have never won a division title. The only 3 times they've ever made the playoffs in their history, they snuck in as a wild card. You're exactly right. It's owned by the Dodgers and the Giants, very similar to the Yankees and the Red Sox. But of course, now you have Toronto there too, and you had the Rays for a while too. That was pretty good. So really, it's a 2-team division in terms of title hopes.
Jimenez is an interesting guy for Rockies lore, right? One of the very few guys that came through that system, that came up to the big leagues, that had really nice success at various points early on for him, right? Made a lot of starts there. He had a lot of bobbleheads, right? All-star game, all that, sub-3 ERA, 19, with the whole deal in the magic years for them. And, has gone on to be sort of a rich journeyman to some degree, that he didn't hang around to become your Jim Palmer, so to speak, right?
Yeah, Ubaldo, it's interesting you say that. I just recently wrote about him, and, I got to know Ubaldo very, very well when he was here. He's one of my all-time favorite guys.
He is so well-liked, right? Like, I mean, everyone just speaks about what a good human being he is, right?
He is, but you know what? Even when he began that season in 2010, I believe it was, 18-1 at one point or something like that, something crazy like
insane. That. Insane, yeah. The whole year it's still insane.
Yeah, but everybody always said, you know what? Boy, those kind of funky mechanics of Ubaldo's, if it gets out of whack, it's tough to fix. And that's been his history, be it in Denver, be it in Cleveland, be it in Baltimore. He finds what he's supposed to do with those mechanics, and he's fine. But it gets out of whack, and it goes out of whack in a hurry. And the other thing about Ubaldo, and when he left here, there was a lot of hard feelings, but especially between him and Troy Tulowitzki. And there was a feeling among some of the Rockies players that Ubaldo was a little bit whiny about his contract and maybe wasn't tough enough. And eventually that led to, I don't know if you're familiar with this, but there was a beanball incident in spring training of all places when Ubaldo, pitching for Cleveland, drilled Tulowitzki, and they nearly came to blows. And that was kind of the last straw between any love lost for the Rockies and Ubaldo Jimenez.
We got some inside information. Patrick Saunders has been running around with Denver sports for a long time at the Denver Post. He is the Rockies beat writer en route to Camden Yards, and a little bit of a forgotten summer for the Rockies. And again, I don't know much about the Rockies, but sell me on what's going to make them better. Do they have the parts pitching-wise at this point in the organization to look at it and say, in 18, we have 3 Jake Arrietas that are going to be coming through this thing that could really change things for them? Because certainly, as you pointed out in the infield, they're as big and as bright as anyone this side of Altuve and Correa and Scope and Machado. There's a lot of nice things going on for young baseball players and young infielders right now. It's a renaissance period.
You're exactly right, and the Rockies are right in the heart of it. I mean, Arenado, we've talked about. Story, we've talked about. DJ LeMahieu, very solid second baseman. Cargo, if he stays here and doesn't get traded, he's an all-star again. But it all comes down to pitching, and they do have some good young arms. John Gray, Jeff Hoffman, who they got for the Tulowitzki trade, has not made his debut yet. High hopes for him. They have some other good guys, not stars, but guys that at least can hold their own and give them a chance to win. So in my estimation, they have a chance in the next couple of years to field a team probably as good as the 09 club, which made the playoffs before losing the divisional round to the Phillies. And in my estimation, that was probably the best club this team has ever put together. I think next year or the year after, they have a chance to be that kind of team.
Hey, great having you on, man. Enjoy the stay in Baltimore. Very hot here. Hot baseball team, hot weather, hot everything. The first place Baltimore's. Patrick, I've been on the radio 25 years. There have not been a whole lot of late Julys where I can say the first place Baltimore Orioles. So I just have to say that and rub it in a little bit. Hey, man, enjoy your summer. Bring me some Rocky Mountain oysters and some of those special gummy bears as well.
Will do. Thank you.
Be well. Great having you on. Patrick Saunders from the Denver Post, covering the Rockies, coming in from the Rocky Mountain High. You can follow his journey out on Twitter at PSaundersDP, out on Twitter as well as at thedenverpost.com. You can find me in the Buy a Toyota Audio Vault 24 hours a day from anywhere in the world on your mobile device. Just download the TuneIn Radio app. We come in crystal clear. And don't forget any breaking news that happens first. It happens on the WNST tech service. That's all powered up by Coons Ford of Security Boulevard. Dennis will be here driving you home on Thursday from 3 until 5. And our morning newspaper will be in your email inbox at 7 a.m. each and every morning if you sign up. It's all brought to you by Planet Fitness and PlanetFitness.com. Nasty at WNST.net reaches me anytime, day or night. Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Snapchat, Instagram. And, of course, we'll be at Ravens Camp beginning Wednesday night when Joe Flacco takes the podium. And, of course, Thursday, when the whistle blows at Owings Mills, Luke Jones will be out there sweating it out in purple, tweeting his little heart out, and we'll be having fun and great conversation all week long. We are WNST.net AM 1570 and WNST Towson, Baltimore, and we never stop talking Baltimore sports. Patrick, appreciate you, man. Thanks for coming on with me.